Is recording. So what I wanted us to do first is to recap what we did last time. If I open up my Android Studio, we created this app. So we created this app which was a calculator app, in which we had different kind of views. So here is where we define our views. So these are the views. This is what you see on the screen. So an edit text, it's where you are able to input numbers. It's a kind of a view where you are able to input your number. So let me open the app. The app is right over here. It's called calculator. So on my phone, I have opened the calculator, and we'll now look at what we created. Oh, I don't like it's taking much time. So there's the button, and also there's a text view. So looking at this component, whatever you see here as a calculator, it's what we call a text view. Okay, so if I switch back to the code, calculator here, you can see the text here is calculator. So this is what you call a text view. So the calculator here is called the text view, and then input first number is what we defined as an edit text. So we define the an edit text where you can be able to get input, and in order to get numbers, we say that the input type has to be a number. So that will make the keyboard, when we press on that input, it will make the keyboard to just be displayed using numbers. So we don't get the normal keyboard where you can be able to input letters such as A, B, Z, all those. And also there's the input second number. So these are the inputs, and also its input type is of type number. So we'll see the last thing that we have here is a button. So let me input a number. So let me input a number like 55 and a number like 12. So what we did, we used this app to create the addition. So we have a button add, of which this button we reference it using its ID. So we have this button add, and as you can see, its text is called add. So if we press this button, it's supposed to get the sum of these two numbers, and then just like display the result down here. So down here we have the result text view. So text view is where you normally view your text, or just it's a kind of a view. So it's just for the display purposes. So when I click on this button, this result is supposed to say 55 plus 12 is equals to 67. So it will display 67 down here. Yeah, so now and the type of layout that we are using is the constraint layout. Okay, so this is a type of layout in Android. It's the constraint layout. Some of the other layouts that we talked about were the relative layout, there's the linear layout, there's also there are so many, the table layout, some of the card views. We talked about quite a lot of layouts, so you can also Google them and see, but the constraint layout is the easiest to use because you don't have much to do. Something like a linear layout, you have to define so many things and also care about your orientation. Now what you can look at is now the code. So here we were looking at all these views. So the edit text is here. This was the edit text. We have defined it in the code. The first number input, the second number input, also the button. And after defining the text view, you have to find them. So this is now Java. You are telling Java to find whatever you have defined from the views, because these are separate files. Okay, you see that this is the main activity, and what aligns with it is the activity main. So in order to reference this, we have to find them from the activity main. And to find them from the activity main, we have to use the r.id. So r stands for the resources.id. It will get this ID. So if it's the result view, it will get a view that has an ID of text view 2. So if we come and look at the result where we are displaying the result here, you will see that it has an ID of text view 2, and that is exactly what we are defining right over here. And now for the button to be clicked, we normally have to set something that we called a non-click listener for the button. For you to use a button, you have to set a non-click listener, which will now ensure that the button will listen for any touch inputs. Now we have our button here, and you see we have said that our button add dot set on click listener, so that when you just type this Android Studio, since it's an IDE, it will make your development easier, and it will actually generate all this code for you up to here. Yeah, so you don't have to memorize this code. It's called boilerplate code, which will never change. So yeah, it generates this code for you. So the logic that you now have to write is now here, where you declare your first number, you pass it from the input, and then the second number you say integer dot pass int, the second number, then you get the text, then to string. So we say that integer dot pass int, this is a type of function that is used to pass or get or to convert a string. So whatever is here, the number that you are seeing here is represented as a string. So in real sense, it's represented as a string, because when you get text from any edit text, Android it just like assumes that that text is always a string. So what you have to do, if it's a number, you have to pass it. So you have to pass it, you get the text and get converted into a string, and then pass it into an integer and store it in the integer. Yeah, after doing that, we now get the first number and also the second number. After doing that, we get the total of the two numbers, of which we store them in the total variable, and then we add them. We add the both of them, and after adding, we now set the text of the result text view to now be whatever the number that have been added. So if I can change here to be 1255, you'll see that it will now add to the correct number again. Yeah, so now today what I wanted us to look at is how to change the different types of screens. Okay, so in Android we have, you can see that this is just one screen. Okay, in Android we normally call this as an activity. So whatever you see, it's an activity, or it's a screen on itself, an activity which contains a view. So this today's lesson, I wanted us to look at how we can have multiple views and how we can switch back and forth from those views. So now what I'll do, I will actually copy this code and create another view which we can we can go to. So what I'll do is, we have said a view in Android is called an activity. So what you are supposed to do is, you see here that we have the main activity. So under the Java, the com, your package name, you have the main activity. An app will normally have different types of activities. So let me try and see an app that we can use an example. So if there's this, if I can open such an app, this CaziLink app, it has multiple activities, it has multiple views. So apps that you see, you can see that this is the start screen. Okay, this is an app I created that is called CaziLink. It's supposed to link people with work. Like, people create accounts and then they connect with people from this app. So if you create an account of the work that you do, you'll be able to see the other people's in your profession too. So the haven to your profession. So as you can see that I clicked on a button and it went to the login page. If I click on the sign up, it goes to the sign up page. So it should go to the sign up page. So this is the sign up page. Now this is what I mean by an app having different views. So all these are activities. Yeah, when you click on sign up, it goes to the sign up view. So these are activities. And since we don't have much time, let me create an activity so that we can know how we can switch between different activities. Yeah, so let me just let me go home to that. And now, in order to create an activity, you just do it will appear like how it normally starts when you are creating an app. So you just right click and then go to new and then go to activity. Okay, so there are so many things that you can create. So go to activity and then you select empty activity. Okay, so you select an empty activity, so main activity too. So this we'll call it second activity, and you can see that the layout name will be activity second, and the source language is Java, not Kotlin. If we now finish on the second activity, so what we will do, as you can see, it has created another class here. You can see we had the main activity, and now here we have the second activity. And also at the layout, we had the activity main, and also here now we have the activity second. Okay, so you can see that it's blank, it's actually blank. So what we can do to this second activity, we can add some text view to it so that we can be able to see that we have actually gone to the second activity. So we'll use our constraint layout and drag our text view to the layout. So I'll do that, and then I constrain it to the side and also to the top. So this will be the title of this second activity. So let me show you. The ID is text view 2. So I want to change the name to be, you can see the text here, it's text view. I want it to be second activity. So it will be second activity, and also I would want the text size to be quite large so that it can be visible. So to do that easily, I can just open the code. I can right click and go to XML, it will now go to the code. So here is where you can define the text size, 100 text size. So text size you can say like 50 or 50 SP. So we said the SP is like a unit for measuring the text. So if we go back to our design, we see that our text is actually quite big. And yeah, that's what I wanted it to be. Yeah, so these are our second activity. And also in this second activity, we shall have a button. Okay. Now this button will be used to go back to the main activity. So I will constrain this button to the left, and also I will constrain it to this second activity text view. So this will be our button, and I will edit its code and say and just call it back. It's back button, so the text will be back. If we go now to the design, you can see that the text is actually indeed back. And yeah, I think we have our second activity all laid out. I think we have our second activity all laid out. Now what we'll do, we'll now go back to the main activity, and also create another button to now go to that second activity. Okay, so now this is what our first activity had. This is what we created on the last lesson. So now what we'll do, so as you can see, this is why chaining things is or chaining views together is actually good. So if I raise this button up, you can see the result too is going up because the result is constrained to the button. So if I take the button down, you can see it's taking the result text view down with it. If I take it up, it's taking it up with it. So that's like the advantage of chaining the views together. So now what I wanted to do is now to add another button below the result that will take us to now the second activity. So let me add this button. Yeah, so this button now will open, it's supposed to open the second activity that we have created. So let me drag it there, and also change its text to something like second activity. So you'll see the button down here, so the text will be second activity. So second activity. If you go back to the design, you can see the button text has changed to second activity. So now what we shall do is when we click on this button, it's supposed to now open the second activity, which is here. And when we click back, it's supposed to now open the other activity. So now what we can do is whatever we did to the first button, we also do it to the second button. So we go to the main activity. Since we have added the second button, we just declare it here. So button, second button. Okay, so second button, and then we find it via the ID. So second button is equals to find view by ID, then r.id. So now we look at the ID of the second button. Where is the ID of the second button? What have we named the ID? So we go to the code. The ID is called button 3, but you can actually change this ID to second button. Okay, And now when you go back to the code dot second button, so now we have found the button. After finding the button, what we have to do is now like add the on click listener. So this is what we listen when the button is clicked. So it's called second button dot set. I'm waiting for Android Studio to generate the code for me. Set on click listener. Okay, so you type on new view on click. So when you just click on enter, it will generate the code. This is what I was telling you about. So now this is one of the advantages of using an IDE. So now here is where we now write our code to go to the second activity after we have after we have done what, after we have created our activity and after we have pressed our button. So now here is where the actually the logic comes in. So in Android we have things that are called intents. So intents, these are used to these are the ones that are now used to communicate over the entire app and outside. So we have things called that exclusive intents, and we also have inclusive intents. So exclusive intents, these happen within the app. Make calls outside the app. So what we are going to do is something called an exclusive intent. So in order to create an intent, we just say intent, and then we just name it intent. So I haven't like important, so intent is equals to new new intent. Okay, so this is what we call an intent, and we have two types of intents, which is the exclusive intent and also the inclusive intent. Yeah, so I was just looking at the lesson whether we have so many minutes remaining, so we need to do this quick. So in order to go to the other activity, okay, in order to go to the other, to open the other activity, what we need to do now is, I don't know why the code has an error. I think it's because it hasn't compiled perfectly, but it will update. I think now it's okay. So to go to the other intent, you have to reference this class and the class that you are going to. So you can say this, and then which class do you want to open? It's the second activity dot class. Okay, main activity dot this. Yeah, so you can see that we have created a new intent, and we are saying that we want to come from the main activity to the second activity. Just that. Okay, you say that you are coming from this main activity because the name of this class is called main activity, and we are going to the second activity. And that is just it. It's actually that simple. So after creating that intent, you say start activity intent, And now that will actually make the app to now go to the next activity after you click on this second button. So what you can do now is, let's now run our app. So let it build and run. So what you are going to do is build and run the app. And so what you are supposed to get, it's just this simple code here. So you just say intent is equals to new intent, and then for the parameters you say which class you are coming from and which activity you want to go to. So in this case we are coming from the main activity and we want to go to the second activity. So just that. If we wanted now to like go from the second activity to the main activity, we would have written this now in the second activity class, this class. And I think we can actually do that because we have already created the activity second. We already have this back button, or we can I think it has actually finished, so it's actually installing down here. It will install our app to the phone. So it's installing. After installing, it will now run the app. It should launch the activity, and it has launched. So now what we expect is that when I now click on the button, when I now click on that second button, it should now go to the second activity. So as you can see, our logic should still work. So our calculator logic should still work because we had already written that logic. So 55 plus 111, so that should be 166. So our result is 166 as desired. And now when I click second activity, it should now go to the second activity. So yeah, as you can see, it has gone to the second activity. So now when I click back here, nothing is happening. When I click back here, nothing is happening. So now what we can do now is now write the same code. When we click this back button, it should now take us back to the other activity. So let me stop this. After stopping, I will now go now to the second activity. And activity second, we had a button. So we had defined a button at the second activity. So this back button. So this is basically how the back button works. If I go to the code, I want to get its ID. So go to XML. The ID is button 2. So I will call it back button. So I'll name the ID as back button. So now to add the second activity, I will declare that button back button. And whatever you have to do, you have to do. And as you can see, we are doing this in the second activity, not the main activity, because this is another activity. This is a new activity that we created. So we have to write all the logic that involves the second activity to the second activity Java class. Now to find the button from the view. So you say back button is equals to find view by ID, then r dot id dot back button, whatever we have named our button. And after that we just say back button dot set on click listener, and then new view dot on click listener. It will generate the code. And now whatever we did back at the main activity, we now do it here, but it will be now on the reverse. So we use the intent that we have talked about. So intent. So I will have to import the class intent. So intent is equals to new intent. And now here is where we say where we are coming from and where we are going to. So we are coming from the second activity dot this, and then we are going to the main activity dot class, and that's it. And after that we say start activity intent, and that's about it. That's just it. And yeah, that should now add our logic when we create, or when we click on the second button, it will now go back to the other class. So it will now be this goes to this class, and now this goes to the other class. So let's run our app. So it will now build. The app is building. So the important part is just this. We are going from the second activity to the main activity, and from the main activity we went from the main activity dot this to the second activity dot class, and we just say start activity intent. So this is just something that you'll be using every time if you continue in the mobile path. Like nothing will ever change. So let me define what exclusive intent is. We have said it's what is happening here. So these are intents that happen within the app, like opening different activities. But for inclusive intents, these make calls outside of the app. So an example is when you are using WhatsApp and you want to send an image to your friend, or you want to pick a photo that you want to put on your status. You normally click on the status button and it allows you to pick an image from your gallery. So whatever is happening there is that the WhatsApp is using an inclusive intent and sending it to the gallery app so that you can be able to pick an image from the gallery. And when the gallery picks the image, it sends the image back to WhatsApp. So you can see we are using different apps. So those are what we call inclusive intents, but those are advanced. So if you would like to continue further and research on them, you can actually do that. So now when we click on the second activity, it should now go to the second activity. And now because we have already written the logic for this back button, when we click on the back button, it should now go back to the first activity. So when I click on back, it should take us back to the other activity, to the calculator activity. And as you can see, our logic is still working. So 54 plus 6, that should be 60. Okay, so if we add, the result should be 60. So you can see our logic still remains. So another neat thing that we can do, so I've clicked on the second activity and it has opened the second activity, and click on the back and it should now go back to the calculator activity. So what we are doing here, we are adding these numbers. Okay. If we wanted to subtract, it's just something very small that we could change. So if we wanted our app to be doing subtraction, so what we can do is just change this logic that is here. If we wanted we do a subtraction of the first number from the second number, we just say here minus, just that. And when we run our application, let it build and run. Since we have changed our logic to be just first number minus second number, this should now be what do we call it? It should be a subtraction calculator app. So now if we, okay, I have deleted the code. My cursor is here. So now if I do that and now click on add, the result that we are supposed to get here is not 54 plus 5. It should be 54 minus 5, which is 49. As you can see, we have got 49. If we wanted it to multiply, I just change that to multiplication sign, which is a star, and apply my changes. So let me apply my changes. So this shows you how after you've created your app, after it's up and running, it's quite easy to do this stuff. It's quite easy to change these things. I will do this. I will say 5. So when we click on this button, it shouldn't be 5 plus 5 or 5 minus 5. It should be 5 times 5, because at the code here we have changed this first number to be first number times the second number. So we just click on add and the answer is 25. Yeah, so that's what I wanted us to cover for today. What I wanted to cover us for today is the switching of activities. Okay, so we switch activities from the main activity to the second activity, and also from the second activity back to the main activity. And whatever is doing that is just this simple code that is over here. We're using something that is called an intent. And I see some people are raising some hands, so we'll get to that now. Yeah, so this is what I wanted us to cover for today as our last lesson. So look on this intent, look at this code. I will make this video available to my YouTube because I couldn't record it using Kenneth. I'll just upload it now to my YouTube. I have made sure to record it all. So there was someone who was raising their hand. Okay, so Klein was asking what keyboard shortcut do you use to auto-generate code. So now that is the beauty of an IDE. You don't have to use any keyboard shortcut because you're using Android Studio, which is a very powerful IDE. It will actually like generate the code for you. So let me show you. Like if I say second button dot, if you just click on dot, you'll see so many suggestions from Android Studio. Okay, you can see set text, set enabled. Like set text is for setting text, you can set the text of a button using Java. So if you wanted the text of this button to be multiply, and actually I can show you that. So second button, which activity we are, what I want to do, you can see the text of this button is add. So what I want to do is that if I click on this button, I want the text to change from add to multiply. So what I'll do, I'll say second, no, it's not, we are not doing this in the second button, but the button add. So when I click on button add, I want to change its text from add to multiply. So I'll say button add. So if when I'm writing the code, if I just click on something like dot, Android Studio the IDE will generate some of the code that can be used for this function. So all these are the functions that you can use with the button. You can set the on-click listener, you can set the text, you can set it enabled. So like setting the button to be enabled is where you can say that if you click on that button, it should not be enabled again, such that when you click on it, you should not be able to click on it again. So I'll actually do that. So what I want to do is set the text. So I've just clicked on enter and it has generated that set text for me. So multiply. So I've changed the text to multiply. And I also want to make it not to be clickable again. So I will say button add dot uh, set enabled to false. Okay, I have made the set enabled to false. So you'll see what this does. So when I click on this button, when I click, it will set the text to multiply, and it will also ensure that the button is not clickable again. So let me apply my changes. So it's building, and we'll now apply those changes, and it has applied those changes. So you can see that it's actually it's actually named as add, but when I click the button, the name should change to multiply. Okay. Now let me input the number that I want to multiply. So I say 10 times 7. So don't forget that our operation here is multiply, because we had done that. So when I click on add, it should set the text here to multiply, and also ensure the button can't be clicked again. Okay, as you can see, it has changed the text to multiply, and it has actually even blurred out the button. So what's making this button to be blurred or not usable, it's now this line of code. You see, just this line of code is the one that's making the button to be like this. And as you can see also, the text has been set to multiply. Okay, yeah, so that is what is being used. So for auto-generating the code, Android Studio does that automatically. It's called code completion. Okay, yeah, so and when we go to the second activity, but now when we come back to the main activity, it will actually start again. Okay, because it's like we are restarting the application. You see, everything is back to normal because we are shifting between different activities. So if I do like something like, let's do a multiplication of a large number, so you'll see that this will change to multiply, and the button will be won't be clickable again. And as you can see, we are getting our result right over here. 76 times 569 is 43,244. So whatever is doing that, it's just basically these two lines of code. Yeah, so that is it. So anyone else who has a question? So it's we can do a short Q&A. So anyone else who has a question? Yeah, so I hope you have all understood. So those who weren't able to make it for the session on how to create a new activity, or okay, yeah, so how to create a new activity. So what I'll do, I'll create a third activity. So it's actually quite simple. So you just come over here. I hope you can, let me do the cursor thing. So you come right over here, and actually you can actually even click on the main activity and then right click, and then click on new and then activity. Okay, right click and then new activity and then empty activity. It will take you to this screen. So you can see now this is the second main activity too. So we'll call this as the third activity. So you can see the layout name. So it normally has these two files, an activity which will have the Java class, and the layout which will contain the view. So the source language is Java, not Kotlin. And click on down here, you click on finish, and it will now generate the third activity. As you can see here, we have the main activity, the second activity, and also the third activity. So, and it has also generated the third activity, and I've actually written third, but yeah, this is the third activity. So for the third activity, we can actually have something like an image, not a recycler view, but an image view. So if you wanted to add an image to your app, you can just drag in such an image view, and it will ask you if you want to include a photo. So as you can see, we have a photo. So right over there. So that's our image view. So what you can do now is constrain it. So if you don't want to drag the objects when constraining, you can just click on these buttons right over here. It's called the constraint widget. So if you click on top, it will constrain it to the top. If you click on the left, it will constrain it on the left, and that's it. So now if we wanted to open this activity after we click on this button down here, what we just do is go back to here, and where we had declared our intent, we don't want to go now to the second activity.class, we want to go to the third activity.class. So just that, by doing just that, when we click on this button, we'll go to the activity where we have added an image. So let me just apply the changes real quick, and you'll see it will just be so quick, and we won't go now to the second activity, but we'll now go to the third activity that we have created. So basically, this is how you create an activity. Oh, I think my screen is not sharing anymore. So let me share my screen. So the entire the window for Android Studio, share, changes one. So yeah. So that is how you, I hope you can see my screen now. I hope you can see my screen. I wanted to show you how you can create a third activity. We have created the third activity, and the app is running. So it's installing now, and it's launching the activity. I hope you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, just like type on the chat and say it's visible. So yeah, I think it's okay now. So yeah, it's visible. So when I now click on the second activity, it should now go to the activity that we have created, this third activity that contained the image. So let me click on the third activity. Yeah, so it should open that third activity with the third activity dot class. So I don't know why it's not showing the image. It should show this image. It should show this image, but the thing is that it's actually changing the activity itself. So that's basically how you can change the content description. That's actually how you can change the activity. So basically what you need to understand is just I've seen someone asking whether at the exam you'll be required to maybe like write the code. So what you need to understand, you don't have to write the entire code like everything over here. So what you need to understand is just things like these edit texts, like declaring these things and how you can actually find them. Like ensure that you know to find a view, you normally use find view by ID and then r dot id dot the ID that you have declared. So this is basically what you have written up here. So text view, and then to find it you say find view by ID. And also these are the boilerplate code that I was telling you don't have to like cram or anything. So these are overrides, public on click view. So what you're supposed to get, it's just here, like creating this intent. If it's an intent, you just say intent is equals to the new intent, and then you specify inside the constructor arguments uh, where you are coming from, which activity you are coming from, and which activity you are going. So if you want to open the second activity, you just say from the first activity to the second activity dot class. So you see that we are coming from main activity dot this to the third activity. Let's say this is the second activity dot class. So and then start activity. So now this is what will be used to start the activity that you have started here. Okay, so this is the activity, and as you can see all these views are called activities. So in order to start activity, you have to say start activity whatever the intent that you have specified here. So what you need to get is just such a simple line of code. So you just specify where you are coming from and where you're going to, and then you start. So these are just the only like types of code that you need to understand. Yeah. Yeah, so that is it. I don't know if there's another question, but the activity third. So with the activity third, which had an image. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's it. So yeah, so my okay, I will when I once I upload the video, I will send the direct link to Pascal. I will send it to him so that he can share with all of you. So for the video, don't worry, it's actually recording up to now, so everyone will be able to have this video I will upload it to YouTube and send the link, the direct link to Pascal. Yeah, so I think that's it. If there aren't any more questions, uh, yeah, I think that's it for the lesson today. Uh, yeah, I see someone is typing. So yeah, all I can do is like maybe wish you all the best in your exam. And when are you starting? Which is the day that you are doing your Android exam? Uh, so yeah, I see that you're kind of doing it on the December 5th. Yes. Okay. Okay. So uh, I also think I can actually also send you some questions. I will send you some questions, like also do like go through them on Android, and I think I'll send you some questions, and you'll actually send them to my email. I'll give the instructions. I think like maybe like 10 marks or 15 marks. I'll be sending. I'll be sending you, and also if I get some past papers too. Okay, so I don't know if the lecturer has some notes for the Android for the Android for the Android sessions. So mine was just the practical bit. So that's what we've been doing there, the practical bit. But I'll we had said that I create some questions for you, so I'll share some questions with you. You will send them to my email. Yeah, and look into them because they'll be relevant to what we have done and everything. Yeah, so thank you, Wamboy. So yeah, I think we can actually stop at that for the recording. I'll actually share it. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, so all I can do now is to wish you all the best, even as you do your exams, your forthcoming exams. Yeah, so thank you. Thanks, everyone. And also have a great weekend. I will be in touch with the class rep and send any relevant material that I come across. Yeah, so Merry Christmas too. So let me stop the recording and I'll be sharing.